Hey everyone, Dan here, and well, I was going to do my Mandalorian review, but decided since I'm working on this live stream setup, I'm just going to do it live. So if you just happen to be on, want to join me, come on over, and yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. By the way, there's going to absolutely be spoilers here, so if you haven't watched last night's episode yet, I understand it's only. What time is it? It's 11 o'clock in the morning here. So it debuted 11 hours ago. And it was pretty incredible. The show picks up pretty quickly with Boba and Fennec and Kara and Din Djarin tracking down, surprisingly, Pershing and taking over the ship and taking out the two. Well, one of the Imperials shoots the other one, and then they shoot him for taunting Kara. But they get Pershing, and he helps them know that there's a lot of stuff on that ship. And then they go to get Bo-Katan and what's her name? Casca Reeves. So Bo-Katan Kryze and Casca Reeves. And we find out pretty quickly just through, hey, they took the kid. Well, I don't know. We're going to, who has it? Moff Gideon. Okay, I'm in, basically. Because this is what Bo-Katan is after. She wants to face off against Moff Gideon to get the Darksaber back so she can get Mandalore back. So her motivation is very clear, and Casca serves her and has the same motivation. Boba Fett's there, and Boba's motivation has been kind of weird. The fact that he's doing it all for honor, and that he said that he was just something doesn't feel right about it, but maybe we'll find that out later. Yeah, we'll get a chance, I think. The thing that got me there was they immediately went into conflict between Boba and Bo-Katan, and her calling him, saying that he's not a Mandalorian, and he's like, I never said I was. And she said something about, you're just a clone. And he ended up getting into a fight with Casca, and it was a pretty violent fight. There was a lot of physical confrontation in this scene, a lot of fights, which I thought was really interesting because it was a 44-minute episode, and there was fighting through the majority of it. So, they got going in and getting Pershing, then the fight between the two of them, and then there's still 3 other fights in the episode. No, more than that. It's pretty much mainly an action episode, but when they're not fighting, some pretty interesting things happen. But they decide to work together, and with Pershing's help, they realize that there's going to be the Dark Troopers on board, because they thought it was just a skeleton crew running the light cruiser, but no, it turned out that there's like a fleet of Dark Troopers that they have to get around, and they come up with a pretty good plan of basically they're going to use the shuttle they captured as a decoy to come in, and that's going to have everybody but Boba Fett, who's going to be chasing the shuttle. And then once they're on board, the 4 women, Fennec, Kara, Bo-Katan, and Casca, are going to basically just shoot up everybody, and then Din's going to sneak off and go find the baby. And it's a good plan. Plus, he's also supposed to lock down the Dark Troopers because they take a while to boot up. But as he's going to do that first, and we watch, the women are just blowing the hell out of everybody. They're great. That's just fun to watch. And Peyton Reed is directing this, and he got a lot of grief for the second episode of the season, which I didn't have a problem with. But he does a really good job here with all this action and telling the story and moving it along quickly. But yeah, it's pretty interesting right there, in that the women are just blowing it away, and it's a lot. I remember seeing Infinity War or Endgame, and them having that one scene with all the women working together, and it didn't make sense. It was just it felt like fan service. Where this made sense in the story. I mean, it just happened that they only had 6 people in the crew, and Boba Fett was flying Slave 1 because that's his ship. Din was going for the kid. That left the four of them to be the distraction and mowing down people. Din goes to shut down the Dark Troopers, and the problem is that one of them gets out, and a fight between Din and one Dark Trooper just about kills Din. This thing has him pinned against a wall and is just repeatedly punching him in the helmet. It is just, oh man. I thought we were going to have another one of those moments where he has to get fixed and have the helmet come off. But yeah, he was just getting brutalized, and finally is able to use the Beskar spear, which he brought because he found out that the Darksaber can cut through anything except Beskar. So he brought the spear, which was one of my things that I thought, well, none of this stuff makes sense. They pulled it all together. They connected all the dots before going. So he had the spear, and he was able to use it to take out the one Dark Trooper, while the other couple dozen, whatever a fleet is considered, are trying to get out of the through the blast door that he locked. And as they're just about to go through, he pulls the lever and opens up the other side of the cargo bay that sucks them all out into space. And it's like, oh man, that would have been tough trying to take care of all those guys, forgetting that they're robots with jetpacks. So he goes to find the kid while the other four go to the bridge, expecting to find Gideon there, because the whole idea is that Bo-Katan will face off with Gideon so she can win the Darksaber back in a battle. Only problem is Gideon's not on the bridge. Gideon is in the cell with Grogu. And he's sitting there with the blade, and he's threatening him, and it ends up that he tries to convince Din, like, look, I got what I needed from him. You want to go? We don't have to do this. And Din starts to buy it and goes to reach for the kid, and Gideon tries to hit him in the back with the Darksaber and doesn't work, and they end up having a fight. And it was a very interesting fight in the sense, normally in Star Wars, we see either two masters like Ben and Vader fighting, or Dooku and Yoda, or we see one master and one novice with like the Kylo Ren and Finn and Rey fight. Rarely do we get to see a scene where it's two people using weapons that maybe they're not the best at. I don't think Gideon is completely trained with the Darksaber, and I don't think Din is supposed to be a master with the spear. He does well with it, and they both, it's a good fight, but it's not just this beautiful dance of battle. This is more just people trying to kill each other. So he actually gets in there, and he's able to disarm. He's able to disarm Gideon, and in doing so, he's taken the Darksaber, but he doesn't kill him, and he takes him to the bridge and with the kid, and then you have a whole new problem, because to rule Mandalore, you have to win the Darksaber in battle, which Din just did. So Bo-Katan would have to fight Din for the sword. And he was like, no, take it. No, it has to be done in battle. I yield, take it. And she can't take it. And I know it happened in Rebels. She got it that way. Sabine Wren gave it to her that way. But I think that's part of the problem. That's probably why she wasn't able to keep Mandalore together, is because she probably wasn't considered the true ruler by some people. So she needed to win it in battle. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I have some thoughts on that too. But as they're trying to deal with that, and Gideon is trying to goad them into fighting, because, then he can find his chance to get out of there or something. Well, while all this is happening, the Dark Troopers return. They reboard the ship and start coming for the bridge, and they shut the blast doors, and they try to lock in, and it's obvious that they're going to get overwhelmed. And Gideon even says that this is going to end with all of you dead and just me and the child left. And it's kind of a no hope. This is, and it wouldn't have surprised me if they would have ended the episode right there. Like, okay, come back for season 3. But nope. Then we see a lone ship coming towards the light cruiser. And it's an X-Wing. And my first thought was, oh, the rebels have arrived, or the New Republic has arrived. Maybe Cara Dune called them, and it's going to be Trapper Wolf and Carson, and nope, it's just one single X-Wing. Well, how much is one single X-Wing going to be? Well, then you have to remember some of the people that fly X-Wings. And a hooded figure gets out, and a green lightsaber comes on. And Luke Skywalker is there. He just starts mowing through these dark troopers. I mean, like the scene in Rogue One with Vader and going through the rebels. He is just mowing his way through these people, using force pulls and grabs and and swings with the blade saber. It is just gorgeous. It's the kind of fight we've always wanted to see from him. Just Luke Skywalker at his full power. Just after Return of the Jedi, he's still wearing the black. He's got the black glove on with the ungloved hand. And just, it's impressive. It is really impressive. It is total fanboy moment. It's the equivalent of the Boba Fett fight scene a couple episodes ago. You get all of what you wanted, or the Ahsoka Tano. It's what's been great about this season is not only are they bringing these characters that we want to see either into live action or back, but they're giving them in such a great way, So seeing Luke just full power, full Jedi, taking these things down is amazing. But what's neat is in the bridge, they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on because, they don't know for sure. And you just watch Gideon's face as he's drained of color. He's like, oh God, because he knows what a Jedi is. And Grogu is like at the screen, putting his hand on it like, oh, he's coming. And then when he gets there, Din's like, open the door. And he opens the door. And Luke walks in and takes the hood off. And it's a de-aged Mark Hamill. They didn't bother getting Sebastian Stan. They didn't bring in another recast. They de-aged Mark Hamill, and I'm very glad for that. Did it look perfect? No. We're not there yet, technology-wise, but it looked good enough that it works. And then we get the heartbreaking scene of he says he's come for the child, and Grogu is hesitant, and Din says, he doesn't want to go with you. And Luke just says, no, he wants your permission to go. And it's like, oh. And he picks him up, and he's holding him, and the child, and Grogu reaches for him, and Din takes off his helmet and has a moment with his son, and Grogu touches his face, and there's tears in Din's eyes, and he says, he'll see you again, and I promise. And it's like, oh my God, just heart-wrenching. And then he puts him on the ground, and he walks over, and as he walks over to Luke, R2 comes around the corner from behind him, and they have a little moment, and it's almost like a moment of recognition, and it makes me wonder, we've been trying to speculate who saved baby Groot, who saved Grogu from the Jedi Temple when Order 66 went off and Anakin went and killed all the younglings. What if it was R2? Grogu's so small. I don't know how small he was when he was 30 years ago or whatever it is, could it have been Yoda, your R2D2 that saved him? Had he gone there with Anakin? Was he able to hide him? Maybe in a little storage compartment or something? I don't know. Just that suddenly hit me. So, yeah, that's fascinating to me. That's the potential there. And something else that hit me while I'm thinking about it with Bo-Katan and her needing to win the Darksaber in battle. I wonder how she lost it. Or did she give it up? Did she give it up so she could then win it back in battle? Something to think about. Anyway, so the episode ends, quote unquote, with Luke picking up Grogu and them heading off. And in a way, it's the perfect ending to the second season. You could almost there go, oh, okay, we're ended. That's it. That's the end of The Mandalorian. Well, then there's an after credit or mid-credit scene back at Jabba's palace. And Fennec walks in and starts shooting the hell out of people. Boba follows her in. Bib Fortuna is sitting on Jabba's old throne. And Boba kills him and then sits on the throne himself. And Fennec sits behind him and busts open some kind of alcohol or drink. And then the words go on the screen, The Book of Boba Fett, coming December 2021. And at that point, my mind started racing because there's been reports about a Boba Fett spinoff series. There's also, it's season 3 of The Mandalorian is supposed to be back in December of 2021. They don't normally have these shows overlap. So I have a couple questions, like maybe Book of Boba Fett is the third season of The Mandalorian. Like maybe the Book of Din Djarin is the first 2 seasons. And maybe Boba Fett will be the star of the next season. Maybe they're just doing a short season, so we'll get a couple episodes in December, and then on Christmas Day we'll have Din return. Or maybe Boba Fett's the bad guy for season 3. Maybe he's the antagonist because he just walked in, killed a bunch of people, and took over Hutt's throne. So is he taking over the cartel? Is he taking over Hutt's legacy? Kind of interesting there. Kind of don't know what they're going to do with that. So, yeah, have to see where that goes. But I know some people are thinking that, yeah, maybe we're moving on from Din. The Din Djarin story was Din Djarin and Grogu, and that's kind of put on hold. Maybe we'll take a season with Boba Fett, and that's possible. But if they were going to wrap it up, I think they would have given the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. The fact that technically Din Djarin has it means that he's the new ruler of Mandalore. So where does this put everybody? Is Bo-Katan going to fight him? Or is she going to follow him or work with him to take back Mandalore? Will that be the third season? Where does this go from here? We're talking about a show that started with a simple bounty hunter and who was trying to figure out who he was, and we've grown him into the new leader of Mandalore. It just sounds funny, but yeah. Will he learn to use the Darksaber? Wouldn't that be cool? You know, I mean, there's so much potential there. There's so many directions they could go. I love the idea of Boba being the bad guy because I didn't get the full, suddenly he's a good guy thing. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. It's just so many questions. I'm hoping that Disney will at least make an official announcement and say, okay, yeah, the Book of Boba Fett is gonna be this, and then the Mandalorian season 3 is gonna be this, or they're gonna be the same. Just so we have clarification would be nice. We don't need to know what's about, but just clarification would be really appreciated. Yeah, that was interesting. I'd like to see all of that. I'd like to see Boba Fett in his own series and dealing with whatever he's going to do. I definitely want Din back. I mean, Din's the reason I watch the show. The other spinoffs that they announced, I liked Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. I am absolutely going to give that a shot, but there's no guarantee that's going to grab me like Mandalorian did. All the other ones, I'm so looking forward to Kenobi. I'm looking forward to Lando. I don't even know what the accolate's going to be, but I'll be there for that. I'll watch the Bad Batch. I mean, I'm going back on the Clone Wars and Rebels, but I'll be there for the Bad Batch. I'll be there for Rangers of the New Republic. I don't even know what that's going to be, but it's supposed to be the same timeline as Mandalorian and Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett. So, it's kind of like the Arrowverse. It's the Filoni-verse or Favreau-verse, and I'm really curious how that's going to go. But on like a scale of 1 to 10, this season finale was like 11. I mean, I had said before I didn't think Luke Skywalker was going to come back because I thought that the series was Lone Wolf and Cub, is what I've been saying, that it's Din and Grogu, and without Grogu, it doesn't make sense. And like everything else this season and or this series, that they're probably going to prove me wrong. That's all they've been doing. Every time I think I got it, I didn't think Luke Skywalker was going to come back because I thought he was too big of a character. They don't want to tie into the series that much. They could have brought in a Jedi that could stay in the series, that could be around for a while to help train. I didn't think they would take Grogu out of the series because he's just a marketing juggernaut. But then they blew up the Razor Crest, and that ship was starting to sell well too. So I don't know what they're doing, but more power to them. They're making these decisions based on story. Luke being the one to come makes the most sense from a story point of view, but not from a canon point of view. You don't want to bring Luke into The Mandalorian because it becomes a Luke story. He's just one of those characters, but here they did it anyway, And yeah, you look at Grogu and you're thinking, in about 20 years' time, there's going to be this kid named Ben that you're going to have to watch out for because he's going to kill everybody. But maybe he won't be there in 20 years. Maybe his training will only be another 10 years. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how long Jedi training is when you're a youngling. And I mean, how much training did he already have? And now it's just a matter of refresher because he was there for 30 years, 20 years. So a lot of questions like that. It'd be interesting to see how this is going to play out. But yeah, I'm really hoping they give us a definitive answer on if the Book of Boba is just another spinoff series they didn't announce because they wanted to have it announced the way they did it, which perfectly fine with. I can absolutely see them doing that. Or if that's the title of season 3 and Boba's the protagonist of this 3rd season of Mandalorian, or kind of an anthology, or if he's the antagonist and eventually Din and Boba are going to have to go against each other. All of those are pretty damn interesting stories where you could go. And you still got the Bo-Katan issue with the Darksaber and Mandalore. Ah, man. And with Boba back on Tatooine, do we find out why he didn't just get his armor in the first place? And will we see more of Cobb Vanth? And if so, how will we see Cobb Vanth? Man, there's a lot of amazing questions to think about, and I've really enjoyed this series. I mean, it's probably been one of the few highlights of 2020 for me. And I'm really excited about it. And I've said this before, but I had checked out on Star Wars. I went with a bunch of friends. They've rented the theater when The Force Awakens came out. And I remember sitting in the theater with a bunch of people and all excited. And it's like, oh, yeah, I haven't seen a good Star Wars in a long time. Rogue One was good, but I'm ready. Or was Rogue One after that? I don't remember. Anyway, I was excited. And then Han Solo's death really bothered me. And the fact that they undid all the happy ending from Return of the Jedi that I thought this character's earned. So I had really checked out on Star Wars. But from the first episode of The Mandalorian, I checked back in. It's funny. I grew up a Star Wars fan. I was 7 years old in 1977, and where I didn't see it, the first release in theaters, they brought it back a few months later, and I got to go see it then. My introduction to Star Wars was an end cap at a Kmart when I had my allowance, and they had the figures all lined up on the end cap. And I bought Chewbacca and Darth Vader because they were the coolest looking figures. And I didn't know who they were, but it just started a love affair for me. Basically, growing up, comics and Star Wars, Marvel and Star Wars mainly. I didn't get into DC till I was older. But, what Disney owns right now would be my dream. If I had owned it, it's like, yep, give me Marvel, give me Star Wars. Let's go. Indiana Jones. Yeah, take that. Predator. Sure, that's fun. Yeah, but Marvel and Star Wars, we need those. So yeah, I love what they're doing. The big investor meeting was great. I loved all the Star Wars announcements. Loved the Marvel announcements. I'm probably going to start doing more videos for the Marvel stuff too, especially when WandaVision comes out. I'll be doing these. But yeah, I'm really curious about where we're going to go next. So I think I've rambled on enough about this, but this will be my review of it. I thought Peyton Reed did a great job. Favreau wrote it, and Favreau and Filoni are just amazing, and they can do anything they want with Star Wars. They can give us fan service and still make it feel like it's story, They're not just putting things in to put things in. It makes sense, all of these things. It made sense that Luke was the one that came for him. And it makes sense that Din Djarin ended up with the Darksaber, and just everything they've done has made sense. And that's what's the amazing thing about it is it's really clicked. They've really done a good job at their love of the lore, and their creativity and their ability has really crafted an amazing series. And I cannot wait for season 3. I look forward to all the other series, but The Mandalorian love for me is strong. I got this guy. I've already ordered the Hot Toys 6-scale figure, the deluxe Beskar version. Not a big fan of the brown. The Beskar is my taste, but he comes with the Yoda and the little sidecar thing, so that's going to be awesome. And I've got the art book and stuff. So yeah, this has really inspired me. So I am really looking forward to that. I'm going to probably pop back and talk about Wonder Woman. After that, I'm looking forward to that movie. I'll probably watch it on Christmas Day, and we'll go from there. So, yep, that's my ringtone. All right, I'll let you guys go. Thank you all, and have a good weekend.